Welcome back to Amazing Dinosaurs. Today I'm going to show you everything on these shelves, many of which are actually custom colored Jurassic World figures. Now this is the original figure. This is how it came in box, and I've got these two custom colored Indominus Rexes right next to it. This first one is blue, purple, and orange. It's really crazy looking, not super realistic. But over here, I've got a camo Indominus Rex figure, and I think this one looks a bit more realistic. Plus, check out all that blood in its mouth. It's as if it was just eating, too. Next to that, I've got an original Jurassic World Dominion Battle Damage T-Rex and the custom colored version right next to it. The original coloring is like this bright orange color. It has some gray along the top, and of course the Battle Damage on the side. And the custom colored one looks totally different. It is a camo T-Rex. It's got bright green, some brown, some tan, and overall it just has a lot more detailing and even a bit more texturing than the original version. Next to that, I've got some smaller dinosaurs. This is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure, and next to that is a custom Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Now these two figures are actually the exact same, but they actually added a custom spine onto this figure. And I really like how they use the classic colors for the Spinosaurus with the red along its back and on its face, and the blue along its spine too. And compare that with the original figure, which has gray along most of its body and then the dark blue top. The next custom colored figure that I have is this Terran T-Rex, and here is the original coloring for it. You can see that the original version is a bit lighter in color. It has the light brown with the darker brown along the top, and the custom colored version is a lot darker. It has a lot more battle damage than the original version, and I think this version looks totally epic. That is so cool that they added so much battle damage to it. Next up is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex, and this one I actually custom colored personally. The original version is pretty typical in coloring with the light brown and some gray specks along the top, and with the custom colored version I decided to go with a camo green color. It's still got the brown on the top and then the light yellow underbelly, and I wanted to add some sparkling clean teeth on this figure just to make it really pop. And another cool little detail, you notice that this T-Rex has a circular pupil, whereas the custom colored one that I did has a line pupil. Which one do you like more? Let me know in the comments below. Next up, I've got a Triceratops figure. Here is the original coloring. It has the clay red with the brown detailing over its body. And compare that to this one that once again I custom colored. I went for a light gray color. You can see some darker gray along the top and a slight hue of red over its body, and same along its face and the frill, and then I added these bright red horns and then the green eyes. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of that one. And next to that, I've got some more T-Rex figures. These ones are pretty old though. Now here is the original version in the tan coloring, not too much going on with the color over its body. And let's compare that with the custom colored right next to it. A whole lot brighter with the red and black spots and the bright yellow underbelly, and actually a little bit of battle damage it looks like on its neck. And let's go down to the bottom shelf here. I've got the original Velociraptor Blue Super Colossal figure right here. Compare that with this custom colored Endoraptor figure. You can see that both of them still have the really cool golden eyes. This one, of course, has the blue stripe running down both sides, whereas this one has the gold stripe running down its side, like all the Endoraptors. Let's move to the next shelf. Here is a Atrociraptor figure. I don't have a custom colored version of that yet, but I do have these two custom colored T-Rexes, and in the middle is the original version. This first one on the left was painted a bright blue-gray color. It has some evil red eyes, which is probably one of my favorite eyes, and also its teeth are painted a lot darker too. They're like almost black. Compare that with the original version, which is a typical tooth color. It's got the bright orange skin. And then finally, this other custom colored T-Rex. This one is pretty crazily colored. It looks like it's almost a fire T-Rex. Look at that, all that bright orange, red, and yellow over its body. and it has eyes that do not have a pupil. Alright, so those are all my custom colored super colossal, but I've got more custom colored smaller figures up here. Over here on the left is a classic T-Rex figure. The original painting is, you know, like a normal brown color. It has the dark brown on the top, but the custom coloring really went wild. This T-Rex also looks like a fire T-Rex, which is pretty similar to the super colossal one that I have right here. It also has these streaks of orange and yellow and red all over its body. Next to that are some larger T-Rex figures. I think this one was released for Fallen Kingdom. It is a bright orange T-Rex, and the custom coloring for this one changed it to a camouflage T-Rex. Once again, with all that green, some really cool brown, tan, and black that would really make it blend into the jungle. Up next are one of my only Spinosauruses that I have that are custom colored. Here is the original version. It's from Camp Cretaceous. It has the tan body with the red spine and the red face. And let's compare that to the custom colored version right here. It still has a red face and a red spine, but it's a lot darker in color. Plus the teeth are really dirty, which I like. And like the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus that we saw a moment ago, it also has the blue rings on its spine. And one of my favorite details are the glowing green eyes on the custom colored compared to the orange on the original version. Still looks cool, but I think the bright green looks really cool. On the next shelf here, I've got these Sarcosuchus figures. Here is the original version. It has the dark brown red coloring along the top of its body and some swamp green coloring along the bottom. And let's compare that with the custom colored one that once again I did personally. This one's a bit brighter than the original version. It has some light green on the sides, the dark brown along the top, and a brighter underbelly. And some other differences that you can see are the claws on the original are not painted, whereas I painted the claws there, and the eyes on the original are a bright yellow color, but I decided to go with a more natural white color on this one. Next to that is another one of my crazy custom colored ones. Here is the original. This is a Pyroraptor. It has the red sides with the black legs and tail, and some detailing along its face. And here is the custom colored version. This one is super bright, kind of like this Indominus Rex over here. It's got a super bright red sides, and I decided to go with the blue on the legs and a little bit of blue along the top, and then some bright yellow for those special feathers right there. All in all, it's pretty crazy looking, definitely not realistic, but absolutely different compared to the original version. And over here is the Atrociraptor figures. Here is the original version. It is the white with the brown stripes and the red eyes, and not too much else going on with the color, but let's check out the custom colored version right here. This one is a lot brighter, but I think it might be a little bit more realistic in coloring than this one. It's got the bright yellow underbelly, the darker yellow sides, and the brown on top, and some dark red eyes. That's pretty cool, and I think one of the more realistic looking custom colored figures that I have. And next to that, I've got more huge dinosaur figures. I don't have any custom colored ones for these yet, but this one is actually pretty special. This is the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus. It's pretty hard or pretty expensive to get nowadays. It comes in the dark green coloring, but it still has the bright red spine and the face. Next to that is a huge Pyroraptor figure, and this one is actually battery operated. And you can actually play with and train this dinosaur. Look at that, that's pretty cool. It has a bunch of different roar sound effects. So that's pretty wild. And over here, of course, I've got a big old Giganotosaurus figure in the classic green coloring with the black striping. I've got tons more dinosaurs on display as well. Sadly, none of these are custom colored, but many of these are my newest figures. Back here is my largest Allosaurus figure. It's got the battle damage on the side. And I actually just recently bought this Hammond Collection Ankylosaurus figure. There's also a new Scorpio Venator right there. I've got an Iguanodon figure that came as a set with that Scorpio Venator. Here is the Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus. It of course has the classic red coloring on its face and its neck. And there's a ton of other cool new figures here, like the Amargosaurus figure. There's the Dino Tracker's Endoraptor right here. There's this new Zuniceratops figure that actually has an attack button on its back. And this gigantic Dino Tracker's Stegosaurus. This one actually has two buttons. The first moves its tail up and down, and the button on the other side moves its tail side to side. Moving down a level are more of my newest figures, like this Sinotyrannus figure from the Dino Tracker series. There's the Therizinosaurus, a Sound Surge Endoraptor. Over here is the Epic Attack Dilophosaurus. It's got a button on its side for the sound effects and lights. There's the Epic Attack Carnotaurus way back here, an Eocarcharia, a Megaraptor in the back. Here is the super bright Ichthyovenator dinosaur. There's the Diabloceratops figure, the Hammond Collection Concavenator, a Rajasaurus right here, a Dryptosaurus also in the back, another Iguanodon, and this super bright Atrociraptor dinosaur. Now up on a shelf higher here, I've got some more of my favorite dinosaurs, like this Kronosaurus. This is an aquatic dinosaur. Here is the Tarbosaurus. This is the Kentrosaurus. I believe this winged dinosaur is called a Dimorphodon. There's the Yangchuanosaurus dinosaur in the bright green coloring. Here's a Carcharodontosaurus. This is one of the two different versions that I have. This one is in the dark blue coloring. Also a Cryolophosaurus. I have another version of this as well. And here is a motorized Velociraptor blue figure. To the right of that, I've got some of my Funko Pop figures. Here's a Therizinosaurus, this is a T-Rex, and then a Giganotosaurus. Next to that, I've got some differently colored Monolophosaurus figures. This first one is in the bright orange coloring, then there's the dark green one, and then a dark blue one with some tan coloring along the top. On the shelf, there's also a Camp Cretaceous Ankylosaurus figure. Here is a Parasaurolophus. This one's a pretty small figure. I've got another Pyroraptor figure here. This is a pretty basic version. And next to that, a dinosaur that's much larger, the Sinoceratops. And on this last little shelf that I'm gonna show you in this video, I've got some more smaller dinosaurs. Here is the Amargosaurus. I've got the Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure. I think this one might be from Fallen Kingdom. And then quite a few different raptor figures. I've got the Slashin' Raptor right here. It has a spring-loaded torso that you can swing back and forth. Here is the orange Atrociraptor figure with white striping, and then some crazy-looking Velociraptors. This one is red with green stripes. Here is a classic Velociraptor blue figure, and next to that is a bright green Velociraptor basic figure. And for the final dinosaurs, I've got a Herrerasaurus with some green and blue coloring, another Monolophosaurus, but this one has the battle damage on its side, and then finally another super bright and crazy colored Velociraptor. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a bunch of Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World figures and putting them up on my empty shelves right over here. Got a lot of shelves to fill, so let's get started with the brand new Spinosaurus and the Snap Squads. First up is the Camp Cretaceous Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus. Let's open this up. Alright, this is a huge figure. I have a few other Spinosauruses like this one. So the coloring's pretty realistic. It's not too crazy. It's brown on most of its body. It's got the red detailing on the spine, on the face. It's got those orange eyes. Its body is pretty adjustable. You can move the ankles, the legs, the tail, the arms. You can even adjust the neck like that, which is pretty cool. And it's got a button on the top of its head that you can use for chomping. Next up is the Camp Cretaceous Snap Squad Spinosaurus. This is a little one. You can still see that iconic spine right there. Let's open it up. As you can see, most of its limbs are pretty loose, so they actually just dangle there. And that is because you can snap this onto something and then it'll just dangle there. And just like the big Spinosaurus that we saw, this one has those dark orange eyes too. Let's check out our other Snap Squad figures. Next up is the Triceratops from the Snap Squad series. This figure is a dark red, kind of like a maroon color. It's got the yellow eyes and the yellow detailing right on the front. It's got the 3 horns, and just like the other, its legs are dangly, so that when you snap it onto something, its legs will dangle like that. And last but not least, the Snap Squad Carnotaurus, one of my favorite dinosaurs. Let's get this opened up. All right, here it is. This Carnotaurus has a lighter color than most of the Carnotaurus figures I have. You can see it's got a light brown and then dark brown on the top. But like all the other Carnotauruses I have, you can see it's got the battle damage right there on its nose. That's really cool. All right, let's put all these new figures on the shelf. Let's start with the Spinosaurus, right in the dead center of this empty shelf right here. These Spinosauruses are usually pretty hard to balance, but this one's working out. And let's snap these Snap Squad figures right next to the Spinosaurus. Gonna hang the Carnotaurus upside down, right on the shelf. This little Spinosaurus, I think I'll attach to the big one, right on its hand. And the Triceratops, where should we put that one? Ooh, I know. Let's hang it right on the banner right here. Ha, that's actually pretty cool. Let's fill up my shelves with the rest of these Camp Cretaceous figures. Let's start with this Ceratosaurus right here. This is gray and red mostly. You can see it's got some brown detailing on it, and it's got an action button for its jaws. That is really cool. Just put it front and center right next to the Spinosaurus. Here we've got a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is like a brown-orange color. You can see it's got a button on the top to control its jaw. And you can adjust the neck just like the Spinosaurus. And you can also adjust the rest of the limbs too. Let's put this one on this right shelf, right in the center. Next up, a huge Indominus Rex with battle damage on the side. This is the battle damage that you can turn on and off with the button. That is super cool. And still, the rest of the figure is pretty adjustable. You can adjust the legs and the arms and the neck too. And there's the action button on its tail to control its face. Let's put this Indominus Rex right next to the Spinosaurus, right in the middle. There we go. Here is another T-Rex. This T-Rex, when you move the tail, it controls the head. So it looks pretty realistic. This T-Rex is brown in color as well. You can see the browner stripe right along the top of its body and a light underbelly. There we go, 2 T-Rexes side by side. Here is a slightly smaller carnivore. This is the Carnotaurus. And just like the Snap Squad figure that we saw earlier, you can see that battle damage right on its nose. How cool is that? And it's pretty detailed on its body. You can see there's black specks all over its mostly red body with a lighter underbelly. So let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's go over to this side right here. Put it right next to this Velociraptor. Here's another giant Indominus Rex, but check out the coloring on this. This is totally different than the gray one that we have over there. This is a custom colored one. So it's got blue, purple, orange, and black, plus those green eyes right there. That is really cool. Let's find a spot for this on the shelf. Let's put it on the other side of the Spinosaurus. All right, there it is. This first shelf is looking pretty full already. Check this one out. This is a gray and yellow Allosaurus, I believe. Look at that action button right on its back to control its jaw. This is pretty cool. And it's a fully adjustable body as well. Let's put these right next to the T-Rexes. Here is a T-Rex with a very special feature. With this action button, you can see that it has a tearing action. That is pretty unique. Not that many figures that I have do that. So let's find a place for this right next to the Carnotaurus. Here is an herbivore. This is a Triceratops. It's a red maroon color with brown detailing on the top, and it's got an action button that you can press to roar. Seems like the sound effects aren't really working right now, but this is a pretty detailed figure. Looks like a little discoloration on its leg right there. Or maybe that's intentional. I actually can't tell. Let's put this on this higher up shelf right here. And we've still got a few more T-Rexes in here. This one is a battle damage, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw earlier. And press the button to turn the battle damage on and off. And this T-Rex is fully posable, so when you open its mouth, it actually stays open. You don't have to press a button. Let's put this right next to this other Terran T-Rex right here. There we go, got a little more space. Here is, I believe, another Allosaurus. This Allosaurus, though, is yellow with blue coloring all over its body. You can see that there's two different tones of blue. Got the light blue and the dark blue. Plus, the two action buttons on its back. One to control the jaw, and one to control the arms. Let's put this right next to this other Allosaurus. All right, looking awesome. Here is a Baryonyx. This has probably one of my favorite colorings of the Baryonyx figures that I have. Two tones of green, got the dark green in the front and the bright green in the back. Got some yellow detailing and some red right next to its eyes. Let's put this right next to the Triceratops up top here. Here's a weird looking dinosaur. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got a dark purple, it's got some orange, got red, and then the rest of its body is like a blue-gray color. You can move all of its legs, and it's pretty adjustable actually, and you can move the tail to control the head. Let's put this right in between the Spinosaurus and the Indominus Rex. Oh, we've got another T-Rex right here. This T-Rex I don't think has battle damage or anything like that, so this is just a normal T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for the roaring action. Let's put this T-Rex right next to the other T-Rexes. Here's an interesting looking herbivore. This is a Kentrosaurus. Check out those huge spikes right along its shoulders, as well as the spikes on its tail, just like a Stegosaurus. And this Kentrosaurus has a sliding action to swing those spikes back and forth. That is really cool. Let's put this right next to the Baryonyx up top right here. Here's another Baryonyx. This one has bright orange detailing right on the top of its head. The rest of its body is brown and a dark gray blue color right along the top. Let's check out this action button too. Let's put it next to these T-Rexes and Carnotaurus right here. This dinosaur, I believe, is an Tyrannosaurus. It's pretty unique in its shape and color. Look at that bright blue right along its mouth. It's got some yellow on its spine, and it's got a light underbelly as well. Plus, this Tyrannosaurus has a slide action. All right, let's find a place for this. Let's put it right next to the Sarcophagus, right up front. Here is another herbivore. This is a Sinoceratops. You can see it looks pretty similar to the Triceratops, but the big difference is in its horns and its face. Plus, it's got an action button on the back to control its head as well. Let's put this Sinoceratops right next to the Kentrosaurus, right up top. Here's another predator. This is a medium-sized figure, and this is the Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the action button on its back to control its jaw, and the rest of its body is like a yellow-green color and darker green along the top. Let's put this right in front of these T-Rexes right over here. Here's another predator. This is an Albertosaurus. This dinosaur has an all green body with orange detailing right along its back, all the way up to its head. And this figure has the action button on its tail to control its jaw. Next up is a Ceratosaurus with dark green coloring and black detailing along its back. And this Ceratosaurus has the slide action to open and close its jaw in multiple degrees. Let's put this Ceratosaurus right next to the other one, right here. Next up, we've got another mighty Triceratops with a brown body and two tones of blue. You got the dark blue in the back and the light blue in the front. And with this Triceratops, you can actually control the head with the tail. You can twist it back and forth. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but you can control its head. Let's put this Triceratops right next to the Sinoceratops. Here's a different looking dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a super long and narrow snout. This dinosaur is blue and yellow in color, and it has one action button that you press to control the head. Let's put this Suchomimus next to, you know what? Let's put him on this lower shelf, right next to Godzilla. Over here, we've got a small little one. This is Ankylosaurus Bumpy. And as you can see, we've actually got a full-size Ankylosaurus with the same coloring as Bumpy. Let's check both of these out. So Bumpy's pretty small, doesn't have any action buttons, but you can adjust the head and the legs and the tail as well. But the adult one has an action on it. Let's check that out. Just like many of the other figures we've seen, this Ankylosaurus has a slide action on its back. And can you guess what that does? It swings its tail around. That is really cool. Let's put these Ankylosauruses right on the shelf. Check it out, it is another Carnotaurus. This one is more brightly colored than the other ones that we've seen. You can see all those bumps and spikes on its back. It's got the dark brown on the top, and it's like a red-orange on the sides and a gray underbelly. Let's put this Carnotaurus right next to these T-Rexes right over here. This is looking pretty awesome. This is like the carnivore shelf so far. Here we've got another Albertosaurus, but this one has battle damage. You can see it's got the stomach. It's actually pretty squishy. Then you can slide down the ribs and they click in place. And then you can actually cover it up all the way. Let's put this Albertosaurus right next to the other one. Here's another big figure. This is a Stegosaurus with a mostly green body and some brown and tan detailing. That is really cool. Let's put this Stegosaurus next to these Ankylosauruses down here. All right, we've got even another Allosaurus with the slide action for its jaw. This figure is a dark green color all around its body, and it's got the light tan and red detailing right along its neck, and those red eyes too. Let's put this dinosaur next to this Indominus Rex, right in the front. Here is our last medium-sized dinosaur of the bin. This is a Baryonyx, and it's got green on the belly and sides, and then two tones of brown. Got the light brown in the back and the dark brown in the front, and more light brown right on top of its head too. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to this Baryonyx over here. All right, that shelf is just about full. Let's go ahead and grab these Velociraptors. I got 1, 2, and 3. Check out the different coloring on these. We've got a bright red and green Velociraptor. We've got a dark gray and yellow Velociraptor. And we've also got a bright orange, yellow, and brown Velociraptor. Let's put all of these Velociraptors together on this front shelf right here. Second one right here. And the third one right here. Right next to the Atrociraptor. Got some interesting looking smaller dinosaurs. I believe this is a Protoceratops. This one is a super light green on its side and the yellow detailing all over its body. Let's put this Protoceratops right here. Next up, we've got a dark red Minmi with spikes all over its top. Let's put this dinosaur right in the front, right in front of the Spinosaurus. Over here, we've got a Zuniceratops. It's got the 2 spikes in the front, and it's got a bright green body with the dark gray-blue coloring on the top, and all in the front, too. Let's put this Zuniceratops right in front of this Triceratops right here. Check out the spikes on this Sauropelta. It's got a bright red body along the top with brown on the bottom. Let's put this Sauropelta right in front of the Indominus Rex. I believe this dinosaur is a Monolophosaurus. This dinosaur has a light brown body with gray detailing on the top and on its feet too. Let's put this dinosaur right up top here next to the Pyroraptor. Here is a winged dinosaur with battle damage on its wing. That's interesting. This, I believe, is a Pteranodon. Let's put this Pteranodon on top of the Indominus Rex. I think it'll rest there really good. Just a few more dinosaurs left. This is a Tanystropheus. This dinosaur lives in the water. And this figure has an action. When you pull down on the tail, it moves its neck up and down. Let's put this dinosaur way over here next to the Triceratops. Here is another winged dinosaur. This is a Dimorphodon. This dinosaur has a shorter snout compared to the Pteranodon, and you can see that it's got some dark red or maroon coloring right on the underside of its wings. Let's put this flying dinosaur right up top. This T-Rex right here. Next up, we've got a bright green Dracorex with gray striping along the top of its body. It's got a bunch of horns on its head. You can adjust the neck, the head, the arms, and the legs. I think you can twist the tail too. Let's put this Dracorex right next to this Minmi. Here is a Stygimoloch. This dinosaur is a orange-red color along its body with darker detailing along all of its body. It's got the light underbelly, it's got the horns on its head, and of course the super hard head for headbutting. And our last dinosaur is a Gallimimus. This dinosaur is a light tan along its body. You can see it's got some striping on the top. Plus, it's got an action button to move the legs back and forth for running. Let's put this right next to the Stygimoloch up top here. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today I'm going to give you a tour of all of my Jurassic World Dinosaurs display shelves. And we're going to start it off with the biggest figures, which are the super colossal dinosaurs. This first figure is actually not a super colossal figure, it's from Imaginext, and it is a Giganotosaurus figure. Right next to that, I've got the super colossal Indominus Rex figure. This figure has some of my favorite texturing all over its body and some of the coolest teeth. Right next to that is the giant Giganotosaurus figure. This super colossal figure has the classic green shading with the black and the spine running along its back. And right next to that, I've got an herbivore dinosaur. This is the Brachiosaurus. This giant figure has the super long neck and the bulky body that stands on 4 legs. This is one of the newest super colossal figures that Jurassic World has released. This is a classic T-Rex. Right next to that, I've got a custom colored T-Rex. This one was originally an orange T-Rex, but now it is a light blue-gray T-Rex, and it's got some awesome bright red eyes. Over here is another pretty new dinosaur from Jurassic World Dominion. This is an Atrociraptor figure, and it's got much smaller teeth than the Indominus Rex figure, but it still has some really cool texturing and coloring all over its body. Speaking of really cool coloring, check out this custom-colored Endoraptor figure. Its body is mostly black, but of course it has the gold stripe running down its side. Here are some more giant T-Rex figures. There's an orange one, and here's another custom colored one. This one is a fiery red T-Rex figure, and it has no pupils in its eyes, which looks really crazy. And then finally, I've got a giant Velociraptor blue figure and a giant Carnotaurus Toro figure. And those are most of my super colossal figures. I've also got ones in the top shelf that we'll see in a little bit. But for now, let's get started on this level right here. This is my Indominus Rex level. Over here on the right, I've got a custom colored Indominus Rex that I got pretty recently. Right next to that are 2 of the, I think they were called Slash and Devour Indominus Rex figures, and these figures are pretty large. This next one is another figure from Imaginext, and it's quite a different looking Indominus Rex figure. It has the blue spikes on its back and the huge orange eyes. On this shelf, I also have a Lego Indominus Rex figure, which I don't have that many of on my display shelves. Here's also a smaller Indominus Rex. I believe this one was a Bite and Thrasher. It's got some battle damage right on its side. Right next to that is one of my brightest custom colored dinosaurs. This Indominus Rex has some bright blue and purple and orange all over its body. This next smaller Indominus Rex is actually the Sound Surge Indominus Rex. It's got the speaker there right on its side for all the different sound effects. And the final Indominus Rex on this shelf is the extreme battle damage version. You can see right on its side that battle damage that you can reveal and hide with the click of a button. And now moving up a level, I've got a bunch of herbivores in this next shelf. Over on the left, I've got 2 really cool Stegosaurus figures. This one's pretty old, but this one is actually quite recent. This one's part of the Dino Trackers series that is coming out right now. Over here is also the Pentaceratops. It has some action buttons on its back. There's also the Amargosaurus dinosaur right here with action buttons of its own. There's also some of the coolest Triceratops figures in my collection. I've got a dark green one, an orange one. I think this one is from Camp Cretaceous. And this one I actually custom colored myself. So what do you think? It's got the mostly gray body, got some red spikes on its front, the dark green eyes, and a pink underbelly. And on the very right, I've got a giant Kentrosaurus figure. It's pretty similar to a Stegosaurus, but it has some huge spikes coming out of its sides, and its tail is a lot crazier looking too. And moving up one more level are some of my smaller figures. Got another Triceratops here. Here's a bright green Velociraptor, a baby Stegosaurus that I got pretty recently. This one actually came as a set with an adult Stegosaurus. I've got some predators right here. This one is the Geniodectes Cirrus. Here are some Dilophosaurus figures with their super bright frills. There's a baby Brachiosaurus figure right here in the bright green color. A smaller Triceratops with battle damage on the side. Some more Velociraptor figures. This one actually has extreme battle damage on the side. And then finally, another herbivore. This one is a Parasaurolophus. Alrighty then, now let's move to the left. Let's see some of these smaller figures on this shelf. The first one on the right is a Jurassic World Dominion Iguanodon figure. Right next to that, I believe, is a Sinoceratops figure. I've also got a Pyroraptor and a couple Dimetrodon figures right next to that. This one I believe is from Jurassic World Dominion. You can see it's got the extreme battle damage on the side. And this figure I think is a little bit older. It might also be from Jurassic World Dominion, but I'm not sure. Over here I've got an Atrociraptor figure. And this one you'll notice is almost the same coloring as the Super Colossal. You can see that this one is also white. It's got the brown striping. And this one actually has two different tones of brown striping. Let's put that one back. And next to that I've actually got a new Herrerasaurus figure. And it looks quite a bit different from the old Herrerasauruses. We'll see if I have any set up on these other shelves. But last of all, on this top shelf, I've got a few Funko Pop figures from Jurassic World Dominion. Here's the Therizinosaurus with some super bright coloring. I've got the T-Rex figure right here, and of course the Giganotosaurus. Now let's move it down a level to some of the bigger figures. These are all T-Rex figures. Over here on the very left is the Stomp and Escape Tyrannosaurus Rex. Next to that is the Jurassic World Dominion Super Battle Damage T-Rex. Check that out, just with the click of a button you can turn it on and off. And this dinosaur is almost an orangish color, which is pretty interesting. Here's another recent custom colored T-Rex that I bought off of eBay. I believe this one was called the Tear and Devour T-Rex, and they did a pretty good job with it. It's got a very natural brown coloring over its body, and they added a bunch of battle damage to its body too. Let's not forget about one of the coolest T-Rex figures, the Hammond Collection T-Rex. You can pose this in all sorts of different directions, and it has some pretty amazing detail. Behind that one is an older T-Rex figure. I think this one might be part of Camp Cretaceous or maybe Fallen Kingdom. I can't remember. And this one is another Stomp and Escape T-Rex, but it is one that I custom colored. So check out that bright green coloring with the brown on top and compare that to the original coloring right over here. It's quite a bit different, and I'm really happy with that. And I've got three final T-Rexes here. This is the Sound Surge T-Rex. This larger one here is a dark brown color as well. I can't remember what series it's from though. And this giant one in the back here is the Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. On the next lower level, we've got more Predator figures. I've got two Giganotosauruses right here, and I think they look pretty similar with their coloring and their shading. This bigger one, of course, has some really cool attack buttons, and this littler one is the Sound Surge version. Next to that, I've got some of my coolest Carnotaurus figures. This one is actually a very recent one. This is the Epic Attack Carnotaurus, and it's got a bunch of action buttons on its side. Here's a much brighter Carnotaurus figure. It has one action button on its back for chomping. And behind that is another larger Carnotaurus. I believe this one was the Camp Cretaceous version. And next to that are some smaller Predator figures. I've got a few Baryonyx figures. This one is the Hammond Collection, and I've got another very similar colored one right next to it. There's an Albertosaurus figure here in the back. There's a Fallen Kingdom Baryonyx figure right there. And then I've got two Allosaurus figures, one in the tan and blue coloring and one in the green, red, and white coloring. And moving on to the next lower shelf here are many of my newer Jurassic World Dominion figures. Over here on the right is the Hammond Collection Triceratops. Way in the back there is the Ichthyovenator dinosaur, super brightly colored. This super bright dinosaur is the Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor, and I've got two Rajasaurus figures right next to that, each with their own unique color. Over here is the super famous Ichthyovenator figure. Next to that, I've got a Scorpiovenator figure. Behind that, I've got an Ankylosaurus figure and a Megaraptor figure way in the back there. And here is another custom colored figure that I painted myself. This is an Atrociraptor figure. And to finish off this shelf, I've got the Siamosaurus right here with the big spine on its back and the giant battle damage Allosaurus figure. On this next level here are many of my most recent figures, and I've even got ones that I'm gonna open up today. This first one is the Edaphosaurus. This dinosaur has a huge spine on its back, and I think it's even larger than the Dimetrodon spines. Plus this figure has an action that when you move the tail, it moves its head back and forth too. And it's got some pretty cool coloring. Most of its body is a dark blue coloring. It has some darker shading, and its spine has the bright yellow to draw the attention. Let's grab this next new figure way in the back here. This is the Dino Trackers Nothosaurus figure. This is a pretty weird looking dinosaur. It's got some short legs, so it crawls close to the ground. It has a huge neck and a really flat head, but with giant teeth. And it's a pretty poseable figure too. You can move all of its legs, you can adjust its neck, and you can open and close its mouth. Moving on to this next new figure here is the Dino Tracker's Zunoceratops. So I already have one type of Zunoceratops, but this one has entirely new coloring, and it has an action button, which the other one does not. Looks like it's got 3 main colors on its body. It's got the brown and then the light tan, and then the dark brown right behind its neck. And it has the action button on its back for the head ramming action. And over here is the Dino Tracker's Geniodectes Cirrus. I think I already have one of these figures that we saw earlier in the shelves, but it'll be pretty cool to add another to my collection. It has that one single action button on its back for the chomping action. And let's see what other dinosaurs I have on this shelf here. This is the Eocarcharia figure. Behind that is the Dino Tracker's Endoraptor figure. It's really cool because it has some blue reflective coloring all over its body. Over here is the Diabloceratops from the Dino Trackers. There's also this new Epic Attack Dilophosaurus figure. It's got that button right on its side for sound effects and for lights. Behind that is the Dino Tracker's Sinoceratops figure. Check out this huge headpiece that it comes with. Next to that is an aquatic dinosaur. This is the Kronosaurus. There's also the Dryptosaurus figure in the back here. I've got the new Hammond Collection Ankylosaurus figure, which is pretty amazing. Behind that is another Scorpiovenator figure with totally different coloring. And finally, I've got the Hammond Collection Concavenator figure, which was pretty hard to find. Now let's move it up a level to the smaller figures here. I've got another Rowdy Roars figure. This is Velociraptor Blue. I've got a little Snap Squad Carnotaurus figure. Here is a custom-made Spinosaurus figure for the Hammond Collection. You can kind of tell that this used to be a Hammond Collection Baryonyx, and then they added the spine on and repainted the whole thing. Over here is also a new Atrociraptor. This might also be part of the Dino Tracker series. And next to that, I've got a Plesiosaurus, a Pachycephalosaurus, another Triceratops. This one's from Jurassic World Dominion. A crazy looking dinosaur. I think this one was called a Shringosaurus. And of course, another Dilophosaurus figure. And now let's move it over to the shelf on the very left. This is my Jurassic Park collection. And then I've got some model figures down here. Let's start with the Jurassic Park figures. I've got quite a few. There's like this Parasaurolophus, this Triceratops. I think this one is called a Cosmosaurus. There's some smaller Velociraptor figures over here, a little baby T-Rex, another Dilophosaurus, and even a juvenile T-Rex right here too. Moving down to the next level are more Jurassic Park super rare and super vintage figures, like this giant Stegosaurus figure. There's a spring-loaded Pachycephalosaurus in the back here. I've got some of the baby dinosaurs that came in those eggs. In front of that are some super bright dinosaurs. This one is called the Amargospinus. I believe it is a hybrid dinosaur. I've also got the Utah Raptor with the real feel skin, so it's rubbery, it feels lifelike. Here's a super small Spinosaurus figure. This is an early edition, so you can tell that it looks totally different compared to the new Jurassic World Spinosaurus figures. And then I've got a vintage Allosaurus figure, which once again looks quite a bit different compared to the new Jurassic World Allosauruses. And then on these bottom two levels, I've got tons of different model dinosaur figures that are not made by Mattel or Hasbro. This one right here is a Indominus Rex figure. It looks pretty similar to the Mattel and Hasbro versions. I've got some Carnotauruses, of course a bunch of T-Rex figures. This one is a Giganotosaurus figure right here. And this one was actually really expensive. Here's some more T-Rex figures, and this one back here I believe is actually an Endoraptor figure. And it's got some pretty crazy coloring on it. And on the lowest level, here are some more model dinosaurs. I think this one might be an Apatosaurus. I'm actually not sure what type of dinosaur this is. Got some more T-Rex looking dinosaurs here. Here's a crazy looking one right here actually. This is an aquatic Spinosaurus. So you can see in the way that it's posed that it's actually swimming through the water. And then I've got some more Spinosauruses here. This one is a baby or a juvenile Spinosaurus. It has a little spine on its back, and then a more grown-up Spinosaurus right here with the red spine on its back. All right, we've done 4 shelves so far, so that leaves only one more on this side over here. Let's start with the smaller figures up top. There's quite a variety along this shelf here. There's like this bright blue and gold Velociraptor figure. I've got a Camp Cretaceous Ankylosaurus figure. Also the Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus figure right next to that. A Parasaurolophus, also from, I think it was from Hammond Collection, but maybe the Amber Collection. And then some smaller figures next to that again, like this baby Pachycephalosaurus figure, another raptor. This one is a Rugops Primus figure, and some more smaller predators there. Now let's move down a level to some of my oldest and most vintage Jurassic World figures. So many of these figures came out for the first Jurassic World movie and are made by Hasbro. I've got quite a few different Velociraptor figures here. I have 3 on display. There's also this old Ceratosaurus figure. Over here are some super bright dinosaurs like this Dilophosaurus and this hybrid Triceratops figure. And then I've got some bigger figures as well. I've got these 3 medium-sized T-Rex figures and then this larger T-Rex figure right here. Moving down to the next level are even some more of my vintage Jurassic World figures, like this hybrid Indominus Rex figure. It's got some crazy awesome coloring, even some gold on its chest and on its hands. There's also this real feel Indominus Rex that has the rubberized head and neck. And then some more smaller figures over here, like this hybrid T-Rex figure. It is a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus, which is crazy. There's also this little itty bitty Allosaurus figure, which once again looks quite a bit different compared to the new Allosaurus figures. And one of my favorite figures is this special edition Ankylosaurus figure. This figure features a removable shell that you can actually take off completely to show the normal armor plating for the Ankylosaurus. I just really love that it's so bright and reflective. It's really cool coloring. And down here on the bottom shelf are some more of my various Jurassic World figures. Like this one is a custom colored T-Rex. Here's also a custom colored Spinosaurus figure. This one has some of the coolest coloring out of any of the Spinosaurus figures that I have. I've also got some more herbivores like this Triceratops and this Sinosaurus. And here is one of my favorite T-Rex figures because of its green camouflage coloring. I really like this one. All right, now the last thing to do is to check out the very top shelf and see what I have up there. I've actually got a Godzilla figure up here, which isn't from Jurassic World, obviously. I've also got another Brachiosaurus figure right here, some little itty bitty figures. These figures came as a part of a Jurassic World mini set. I've got tons of dinosaur skulls as well. And there's also this classic Jurassic Park display with the T-Rex crashing through the gates. Next to that, I've got the Ocean Protector Mosasaurus figure, another T-Rex skull, some human figures from Jurassic World, and behind that, a giant Apatosaurus figure. Over here, I've also got the classic Jurassic Park Jeep. And you can even open and close its doors too. Next to that is another giant Brachiosaurus figure. I've also got another super colossal Carnotaurus Toro figure, some more dinosaur skulls, an earlier edition of the giant Mosasaurus figure. Next to that is another of the newer Ocean Protector Mosasauruses. And there's also this giant Dreadnoughtus figure. And next to that, a custom colored T-Rex figure. Once again, this one has some battle damage all over its body. And last of all, this figure is still pretty big. It's just small in comparison to the super colossal figures. This is Velociraptor Blue, and it is actually battery operated, so it can move around and it can make noises and have chomping actions too.
Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a huge bin full of Jurassic World predators. And as you can see on my display shelves over here, I've got some empty space. So we are doing a shelf build today. Let's get started with one of the craziest looking predators in the bin, This is a custom colored T-Rex figure. It's got fire coloring all over its body. This figure has some pretty awesome designing, and I especially love the eyes on this figure. There's no pupil in this one, so it actually looks a bit more sinister, I think, besides the super fiery color. So let's actually put him right in the middle of this shelf right here. Here is another special T-Rex figure. This is the Hammond Collection figure. It has quite a bit more detailing on its body. They did a better job with the painting, and all the limbs are pretty movable. So this figure is very posable, and we're gonna put it right next to the Fire T-Rex. Back here is another super bright and custom colored T-Rex. This is an Indominus Rex figure, but custom colored with the blue, purple, black, and orange, and the coolest part of all, the green eyes. These Indominus Rex figures are ginormous and are probably some of the largest Predator figures that I have in my entire collection. So let's put this on the middle shelf right here next to the Fire T-Rex. Both custom colored and looking real cool. Next up is a Jurassic World Dominion Battle Damage T-Rex. This is one of the newer figures from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a cooler paint job. You can see some gray and some other interesting detailing all over its body. But of course, it has the iconic battle damage that you can turn on and off with the click of a button. So let's put this right next to our other T-Rexes. Here is another Extreme Battle Damage Predator. This is the Indominus Rex Extreme Battle Damage Edition. You can see that it has all the normal coloring over most of its body, but it's got that super cool Extreme Battle Damage feature on its side that you can turn on and off, just like the T-Rex figure. And this one has sound effects too. All right, let's put this Extreme Battle Damage next to the custom colored Indominus Rex. We've still got quite a few more T-Rexes in here. Check out this green T-Rex. This is the only adult green T-Rex figure that I think I have, other than the one that I custom colored a while back. This T-Rex figure is definitely one of my favorites just because of the uniqueness of the color. It's really cool. And I think we've got a little more space for another T-Rex in the middle shelf here. Let's see if we can get him in. The next T-Rex figure is this orange one. I think this is a little bit of an older figure, so this isn't from Jurassic World Dominion, but it has that same snapping feature with its jaw that you can press the button on its neck for. Let's put this right next to the other orange T-Rex. And another T-Rex figure. This one has a bit more typical coloring. It's got a light brown body with some darker detailing on the top. It also has the same jaw snapping button on the top of its head. This is a great classic looking T-Rex figure. Let's put this on the middle shelf. I think we just have enough space for one more. Also, check it out, I've got two new figures to open up in this video, both from Jurassic World Dominion. This first one is the Kayla Watts and Pyroraptor set. Let's open it up. So first up is the Kayla Watts figure. It's got the blue gloves, the green vest and brown jacket. It looks like it's got some type of torch, or I think that's a shocking baton actually. And then there's the awesome looking Pyroraptor figure. This is the smallest Pyroraptor figure that I have so far. It's got some pretty cool detailing with the coloring. You can see the feathers all along its body, even on its arms there too, a little bit on the top of its head. So let's take these figures and put them on this higher up shelf right up here. The other brand new Jurassic World Dominion figure I have is the Extreme Damage Pyroraptor. I have a few other figures like this one with the battle damage on the side, like the Coelurus. I think I have a raptor with that battle damage. And this Pyroraptor is just as cool. It's got the same iconic coloring for Pyroraptors that you see. It's got the red on the top and the sides. It's got some black all over. It's got pretty good detailing with the feathering. And the coolest part of all, there's the battle damage. Press a button and it flips on and off on both sides. Let's put this figure right next to the other Pyroraptor. Next up, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This figure is mostly gray, but it's got some bright red on its neck and its chin, and it's got some pretty cool striping along its side, and of course, all those huge horns running down its spine. Let's put this on the other side of this top shelf up here. Here is the Yangchuanosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the light green body with some brown detailing. And with this figure, you can actually control its jaw by pressing this button on its tail too. Let's put this Yangchuanosaurus figure right next to the Tarbosaurus. Here I've got a Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is pretty massive, though not quite as large as the T-Rex figures that you see over there. But it's got a pretty cool body. It's got the black detailing, it's got some bumps all over it, and it's got 2 action buttons. The first one operates the arms for slashing, and the second one operates the jaw. Let's put this Scorpius Rex on the lower shelf over here. Here is a Metriacanthosaurus figure with the yellow and green coloring on its body. It's a little bit of a smaller figure, and it has 1 action button on its back to operate the jaw. Let's put this Metriacanthosaurus figure right next to the Parasaurolophus that I already had on the shelf. Looks like I've got a few Sarcophagus figures in here. This first one is a blue color. It's got the purple and red and orange detailing on its body. So let's put this right next to the Scorpius Rex figure. And this second Sarcophagus figure has the green body with the brown coloring on top. Let's put this Sarcophagus right next to the other one. Look at that, we've actually got another Scorpius Rex figure, but this one is a bit different. I think it's a little bit smaller and it has slightly different coloring. You can see that this one's a darker green color instead of just black, and it still has the black top. Check it out, you can see the color difference when you put them right beside each other. So this one is quite a bit lighter, but still really scary looking. This is a Ceratosaurus figure with the dark green and black detailing. This figure has the action slide button on its back, so you can get a bunch of different sound effects and roaring positions too. Let's put this figure right next to the Yangchuanosaurus. All right, here's another super scary looking predator from Jurassic World. This is the Indoraptor. This figure has the all black body, so it's perfect for sneaking around in the night with that gold stripe down both sides. Plus, this figure is super posable. You can see that you can move its elbows, its arms, all the joints all over. So let's put this Indoraptor right here on the bottom shelf. Here is our first Baryonyx figure of the bin. This Baryonyx has the battle damage on its side. You can see some on the neck and on its leg as well. Plus, it has an action button to activate the jaw. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to the Ceratosaurus up top. Here is another Indominus Rex figure. It's quite a bit different from the other ones that we saw earlier. This one is like a baby Indominus Rex. It's pretty cool. It's got a few features on it too. It's got a button on its nose that you can press to get some sound effects, and you can press down on its tongue to have it eat. Let's put this little Indominus Rex on the very top shelf right next to this Spinosaurus figure. Here's a weird looking dinosaur. I believe this is the Siamosaurus. This is a newer one from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a really cool body. It's like colored with some gray and white and mostly dark blue. It's got the red spine and also the red face. And you can open and close the jaw using a button on its tail. Let's put this massive predator on the lowest shelf right down here. Next up is a pretty interesting looking dinosaur. I don't think they make that many of this species. This is the Concavinator. It's got the iconic super big hump on its back. It kind of looks like a horn or something like that. Plus, it actually is an action button to activate the tail swinging. And of course, you've got this huge purple face that looks pretty scary. And we're gonna put this Concavinator right next to the Baryonyx on the top shelf. Looks like we've got some Dilophosaurus figures in here as well. These figures are pretty small in size, but they're both super colorful and colored differently. This bottom one has brown and blue coloring with the white on the frills, and this other one has the green, black, and red and yellow coloring on its frills too. Let's place these in this corner right over here next to the Pyroraptors. Check it out, it's a Dimetrodon figure. This figure also has the extreme battle damage on its side too. How cool is that? Let's see if we can put this Dimetrodon right next to Kayla Watts and the Dilophosaurus. Let's see, next up, we've got a Herrerasaurus figure. This one is the light gray-blue color with the white striping on top. Let's put this Herrerasaurus next to the Concavinator. Here's another Herrerasaurus figure. This one has the battle damage on the side that you can open and close. And we'll put this one right next to the other Herrerasaurus. This looks like it's our first and only Velociraptor of this collection. This one also has the battle damage that you can open and close on the side too. And since this is also a smaller figure, let's put this next to the Herrerasaurus figure. Here are our last two Predator dinosaurs of the bin. These are both baby T-Rex figures. This one is lighter in color and has a pretty small jaw, but it actually has an action button on its tail to activate the jaw. And this second baby T-Rex figure is a darker green color, and it's also got a bandage on its leg and a harness around its mouth too. Plus, I think this one is quite a bit more posable too. So since these are T-Rexes, we gotta put them next to the larger T-Rexes. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today I've got all my Jurassic World Dominion figures, and I've even got some new ones that we're gonna open up. I've got this empty space on my shelf, so today we are going to do a Jurassic World Dominion shelf build. The first that I'm gonna put on the shelf is the Spinosaurus. This figure is mostly black, but it's got some green and it's got a red stripe down its back. So let's put that on the lower shelf right here. The next one is this huge Giganotosaurus figure. This figure has the iconic soft green color with the black detailing along its back. It's got that huge spine and those really cool looking teeth. And this figure actually has two action buttons. The first is with this button on top that swings the torso back and forth. And the second is a button on the bottom of its tail used for opening and closing its mouth. So let's put that on the right side of the lower shelf. I've also got a smaller Giganotosaurus figure here. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. So as you'll notice, quite a bit smaller than this one right here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it right next to the larger one. In the back here, I've got a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure is a lot darker color than a lot of the other T-Rexes that you'll see I have on the shelves over here, but it still has the same awesome button on its tail to control the jaw, and you can use the tail to twist the torso around too. So let's go ahead and put this right next to the Giganotosauruses. Why don't we go ahead and open up these ones that I bought for this video. This first brand new one, I believe is pronounced an Ichthyovenator. Wow, that's a long word. But let's open it up and check it out. Here it is out of the box. It's got a dark green body, but a super bright lime green tail and spine on top of its back. This figure also has an action button that when you press down on its body, it does the chomping action. And it's got some sound effects too. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put this on the higher shelf right up here. Next, I've got the Extreme Damage Allosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. I'm super excited about this one. I've been waiting to get my hands on this one. This is probably my biggest Allosaurus figure. I have other Allosauruses that are similar colors as this, but none of them have this awesome battle damage on the side. As you can see, you can actually lift the rib cage up to reveal the stomach beneath it, or you can close it all the way to make it not have any battle damage at all. That is super cool. Plus, I believe it has one action button on its back for the jaw. Oh, check out that blue tongue too. That is pretty cool. So let's put this Allosaurus right next to the Therizinosaurus on the lower shelf. Next, I've got the Roar Strikers Sinoceratops. Let's check it out. I do have a few other Sinoceratops figures, but this one has totally different coloring. It's got this super bright yellow tail, the soft green body, the big horn in the front, and those black eyes. I think that's a really unique choice for a dinosaur like this. So let's put this Sinoceratops on the top shelf right there. And last of the new dinosaurs that I'm going to unbox is this tiny little Therizinosaurus. This is a very small Therizinosaurus figure, but it's still pretty cool. Of course, it's got the iconic huge claws in its hands. You'll notice that it's a dark color, unlike the large ones that are a gray color. But other than that, it has some pretty similar coloring with the larger Therizinosaurus. So why don't we put it right next to the larger one, right there. Next up, we've got the Megaraptor with the red back and the dark blue front. And it's got some white detailing on the tip of its face too. And check out those orange eyes. That's pretty cool. And this figure has an action. It chomps when you press down on its back. So let's put this on the higher shelf right up here. This is a Pyroraptor with the red body and the black legs, tail, and face. It looks pretty evil, I will say. It's got like almost like a mischievous grin on its face almost. I'm gonna put this Pyroraptor right next to the extreme battle damage Allosaurus. This is the Rajasaurus. I've bought this figure really recently. It's got the dark blue body and some lighter detailing on its neck and under its chin too. Let's put this right next to the Therizinosaurus. And I do believe I actually have another Rajasaurus in here. Yep, here it is. This one is brown with some blue detailing on its back and neck. So it is totally different from this other Rajasaurus that we have. But I'm gonna put them side by side. This next Jurassic World Dominion figure is the Ankylosaurus. It's got the clay red body and this super long neck, and you can use the button on its tail to open and close its mouth. Let's put the Ankylosaurus right next to the Sinoceratops. Here we've got two identical Atrociraptor figures, but one is miniature and one is a lot larger. So let's check out this first one. This is a basic figure, so you can't move it too much, and the jaw doesn't open and close, but it still is a great display figure. So let's put this right next to the Megaraptor. And let's take this little Atrociraptor figure and put it right next to the larger one too. Next up is the Yangchuanosaurus with the green body and the brown and red detailing. Let's put this dinosaur right next to this T-Rex here. This is a pretty cool looking dinosaur. This is the Siamosaurus. It's got the red spine and red face, and the rest of its body is a dark blue color. Let's put this dinosaur right next to the Ankylosaurus. This is the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is a bit smaller of a figure than many T-Rex figures, but it still has some pretty awesome sound effects. Let's go ahead and put this T-Rex actually right next to this other T-Rex. So we need to move this Yangchuanosaurus and put this T-Rex down right in between. Here we have an Iguanodon figure. This figure is tan, dark brown, and it has some lighter detailing on its back, and it has an action when you press down on its body. It moves its neck up and down. Let's put this Iguanodon right next to the Siamosaurus. I've got a Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor. This one is bright orange, so a bit different coloring than the ones that we saw earlier, and it also has some sound effects that come with it too. Let's put this Atrociraptor actually on the very tall shelf. I've got some space up here too. Here is another Rowdy Roars figure. This is the Dilophosaurus figure, and it also comes with sound effects as well. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put this also on the very top shelf. This is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure, so it is super posable and a bit more detailed than normal. And it's also got some cool coloring with the gray and the white and the dark blue on top. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to these Atrociraptors. Here is a miniature Carnotaurus figure. It's got the dark green and orange body. That's pretty cool. Let's put this figure right in front of the big Giganotosaurus figure. See if we can fit it in. Right there. Let's see what else we got. We got another Atrociraptor figure. This one is tan with brown striping. So let's go ahead and put this right next to the other Atrociraptors. And I've also got a few extreme battle damage figures in here too. This first one is a Velociraptor with battle damage on the side. Let's put this one right next to the Baryonyx figure. I've also got the extreme battle damage Coeluris figure. Let's put this figure right in front of the Ichthyovenator on this top shelf. And I've also got the extreme battle damage Dimetrodon figure. It's got the light green body and the orange spine. Let's put this figure right in between the Yangchuanosaurus and the Rajasaurus. Next up, I've got the Moros Intrepidus figure with the green body and the orange tail and orange stripe. I'm gonna put this dinosaur right next to the Iguanodon figure. And next is the Miragaia figure. This figure is darker colored. It's got some black and a dark blue-green color in the back. And it's got those huge spikes coming out of its shoulders too. Let's put this figure right next to the extreme battle damage Velociraptor. And last but not least, I've got these 3 super colossal figures. Let's first put this huge Giganotosaurus figure and put him up at the top of the shelf up here. There we go. That is a huge figure. Next, I've got the Atrociraptor with brown striping, and you'll see on this one that there's 2 tones of brown color on it. And I'm gonna take this figure and put it up on the top of this shelf to the left over here. That's pretty cool. So now it's like the Atrociraptor and Giganotosaurus are fighting. And finally, I've got the Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. And I'm gonna put this figure down below on this lower shelf next to these other super colossal figures.
Today, I'm gonna be showing you this new display shelf full of my newest and my most favorite dinosaur figures from Jurassic World. And I've got some brand new ones that we're gonna open up as well. But let's get started with the super colossal figures at the bottom. The first that I'm gonna show you is the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex with the darker brown coloring and black detailing along the top. It's got the bright yellow eyes and is probably standing at like 2 or 3 feet tall. I've also got the Jurassic World Dominion Atrociraptor figure in the white and brown striping. You can see that striping along its back. It's got some huge legs compared to the T-Rex arms over here, and it's also got a huge set of teeth. Next of these super colossal figures is this Giganotosaurus figure from Dominion as well. It's got the classic green coloring with some awesome detailing and a huge spine along its back. It's got some reflective gold eyes and some really unique teeth. It's also got a wider mouth as well. I think it's super cool how the teeth fit in together perfectly. On the next level is the first of the new dinosaurs that'll be opening up right here. This first one, I believe, is pronounced the Eocarcharia. This is part of the Dino Trackers from Jurassic World that just came out. So let's open it up and check it out. Here it is fully unboxed, and it's a pretty sizable figure. It's got some pretty cool coloring. It's got the light green, dark blue, and the red on the top of its head. You can tell that there's feather detailing along a lot of its body. I've noticed that since Jurassic World Dominion, they've been adding feathers to a lot of the design of these new dinosaurs. And there's an action button on its back for rotating the head back and forth, along with sound effects too. That's pretty cool. The next new dinosaur to open up is this Dino Trackers Stegosaurus figure. Let's check it out. All right, here it is. This Stegosaurus has totally different coloring than all of the other Stegosauruses that I have in my collection so far. It's got some green, some black, some white, some red, some really cool detailing. Plus it came with this strap to put on its back as well as part of the Dino Tracker. And this Stegosaurus has an action button on its back to swing the tail back and forth, as well as up and down with a button on the other side.
Let's see what else I've got on this shelf though. Over here on the far left, I've got the extreme battle damage Allosaurus figure. This is my largest Allosaurus figure, and it also has a button for chomping and roaring. Behind it, I've got the Therizinosaurus figure. This figure is actually pretty big. It's got some awesome huge claws and some pretty cool coloring along its back and sides as well. And this figure has a chomping action with its mouth as well. Behind that, I've got the Megaraptor figure that is red, blue, and a little bit of a tan white color as well. You can see that this one also has some feather detailing along its tail and a little bit along its body, and it's got a chomping action as well. Next up is the Yangchuanosaurus figure, which is quite a bit bigger than the Megaraptor figure right here. And this figure has a feature where you can move its tail around to control its head and its neck as well, and open and close its jaws. Next up is the Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus figure. This figure has similar coloring to many of the Ceratosaurus figures I have, especially with that red along its head and its neck. But the coolest thing about this figure is how posable it is and how much more detailed its body is. Behind that, we've got the huge T-Rex from Jurassic World Dominion, once again with the darker brown coloring. And with this figure, you can use the tail to control the head and open and close the jaw as well. And the last figures on this shelf is actually a pack of Stegosauruses and a character with a camera. We've got a baby Stegosaurus right here, and then the adult Stegosaurus right behind it, and they have matching colors, which is really cool. Now let's move up to the next shelf where we've got another 2 brand new dinosaur figures to open up. This first one's pretty wild looking. This is the Diabloceratops. Let's check it out. This is one wild looking dinosaur. It reminds me of a Triceratops and a Pentaceratops because it has this huge frill in the front. It's got these crazy horns though. These are ginormous. It's got the red body, which makes it look pretty evil, I will say. And it has an action button on its back that you can use to twist its head back and forth too. That's pretty wild. Now let's check out this other new toy. This is the uncaged Click Tracker Atrociraptor figure. So this dinosaur comes with the figure itself and a remote as well. And this figure actually follows this remote. So let's check it out. Let's turn it on. And watch this. If I click it, it'll sense where I'm clicking it and it'll charge toward it. All right, let's put it all the way back here and let's try it way up here. That's pretty cool. So it charges kind of at wherever the remote is. All right, let's move on to the other dinosaurs that I have on this shelf. Over here, I believe this is the Siamosaurus. This is a really long dinosaur. It stands on all 4 legs, but it's also got a huge mouth as well and a spine, just like a Spinosaurus. Right next to that, I've got the Hammond Collection Triceratops figure. It's pretty realistic with its coloring, so there's no super bright colors or anything like that, but it's got some really cool detailing, a lot more texture than many of the other Triceratops figures that I have. And I've actually got another Triceratops figure right here. This one has a bit brighter coloring, and as you can hear, this Triceratops comes with sound effects too. Right next to that, we've got an Iguanodon figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This dinosaur stands on all 4 legs, and this figure has an action where you press down on its back, and it moves its head up and down with sound effects too. Back here, we've got the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus figure. So this figure is a lot more posable than usual, and it has some coloring that's pretty different from the other Parasaurolophus figures that I have too. And let's move on. We've already seen the Diabloceratops figure. Back here, we've got a pair of Rajasaurus figures. This first one is brown with blue coloring, and it has an action where you press down on its body for chomping. And there's also this dark blue Rajasaurus that has the same attack feature too. Next to that, we've got a custom Hammond Collection Spinosaurus figure. So this figure has the huge spine on its back, and it also has some pretty cool coloring as well. Way back behind that, we've got a Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure. It's got the dark color on the top and then the lighter sides and the light underbelly as well. Next up, I've got a big old Atrociraptor figure. This is the basic edition, but it still has the awesome coloring and the super bright red eyes. Behind that, I've got the Pyroraptor figure in the basic edition. It's got the classic red and black coloring and the really cool feathers right on top of its head. And the final dinosaur on this shelf level is the Kronosaurus. This is an aquatic dinosaur, and it also has this little lever action on its back to twist its head back and forth and open and close its mouth. All right, now let's move up to the final shelf level. Over here on the right, I've got a crawling Atrociraptor figure with the tan and brown striping. Next to that, I've got the Moros Intrepidus figure. This one has some brighter coloring and some really cool feather detailing along the top of its head. I've also got this extreme battle damage dinosaur that I actually can't remember the name of it. So if you know what it is, let me know in the comments below. But it's got the extreme battle damage right on the side that you can turn on and off. Next to that is another extreme battle damage dinosaur. This is the Pyroraptor, once again with those really cool feathers on the top of its head and the battle damage right on its side that you can click on and off. Next to that, I've got some human figures from Jurassic World. First up, I've got Dr. Ian Malcolm standing right beside this Parasaurolophus. Right next to that, I've got Owen and another Parasaurolophus. This one has some really cool blue and gold detailing along its body. And there's also a lasso that comes with this set as well. Up next, I've got a pair of Dimetrodon figures from Jurassic World Dominion. Both have a super tall orange or red spine, and this figure up front right here actually has extreme battle damage as well. And way over here, I've got a few Funko Pop figures from Jurassic World Dominion. I've got the Giganotosaurus figure, I've got the T-Rex figure, and I've also got the Therizinosaurus figure with some really crazy bright coloring. This is totally different than what you see in the movie. And finally, on the very top shelf, I've got a humongous dinosaur. This is the Dreadnoughtus figure, and it has probably the longest neck out of any of my Jurassic World figures. And it's got a lot of texturing along its body, which makes it look really lifelike and cool. It's got some cool coloring, and you can still open and close its mouth too. Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.